What's going on, Aces? Welcome back to the channel. So, Simon Guobadia wants Porsha Williams to turn over all communication with Bravo producers regarding him and their divorce amid her return to Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, this is interesting, right? Because we know Porsha on the Real Housewives of Atlanta, that's where he essentially met her, right? Fallon introduced Porsha to her husband, and the rest is history. Unfortunately, they're going through a really messy divorce right now. But the fact that he is trying to control Portia's storyline, because that's essentially what a lot of people are going to tune in for, is her talking about her divorce from Simon. And he wants all the communications turned over to him. Like, sir, who is this man? Simon, who are you that you would want all communications turned over to you? Like, you're not a network executive. To be honest, we still don't know what Simon does. I think he told Portia that he owned a petroleum company, but I mean, we found out that that was just, he's a scammer extraordinaire, right? He participated in, um, I forget the name of the program, but he put a fake name, a false name, after having problems with trying to gain citizenship in the past because of his scamming, all the different, frauds and things like that he committed. Um, and now, trying to sue the US government, which, I mean, good luck, right, for citizenship. But this man is a mess and a half. Like, you guys, we see him on his Instagram posting pictures of his different cars and his different, trips to Dubai, locking Porsche out of the house. He says that he denies removing Porsche from their marital home, but if you change the lock code, then that's essentially what you're doing. And now he wants Bravo to turn over the communications to him. I don't know his social standing that he has in Nigeria, but over here we do things a little bit differently. And I feel like, um, older men in general tend to be a little bit more controlling. And we see that, right? We see that with the house, with the husbands on the housewives in Potomac, for example, right? Like we see, you know, Gordon essentially draining Mia's bank account, which is financial abuse, to be honest, because he said that he didn't want her to leave him. Or, Michael Darby suing Candace and essentially really, controlling Ashley with the purse strings in regards to, her house. She says that she has to massage his feet every night. And it's just, I feel like a lot of men, older men, and not a lot, I'm not generalizing, but we see on the housewives, some of these older men use their money as a means to control their younger wives. And so Simon Guobadia wants to take things a step further, because how are you going to control Bravo producers, their film? Of course, they have Portia's consent, right? Because she's been on the show for a multitude of seasons. She took a few years break, but she's coming back now for season Sweet 16. How are you going to have them or try to control Bravo? Like, in what world does that make sense? So I'm going to read you guys this article really quickly from Reality T, because Simon now denies trying to remove Portia from their marital home. It says, another day, another note to tack on as the bitter divorce battle between Simon Guobadia and Porsha Williams rages on. This he said, she said, in the media, war is seemingly never ending. Simon first alleged that Portia brought an armed man into their home, and in response, Portia explained that that was just her security detail. Then Simon filed for all of Portia's communications made with Real Housewives producers to be turned over to him. Now he's also fighting Portia's recent request, which asked the courts to grant her exclusive access to their marital home. So right after she filed for divorce, Portia alleged that Simon changed the locks. On his end, Simon is saying that the house is his and his alone. So both of them signed a prenup just a few days before their wedding, and they agreed that if they divorced, Simon would leave the home within 30 days. However, Simon is using the quote unquote good faith tactic, alleging that Porsha never intended to stay married. Therefore, he wants the courts to consider the validity in the interpretation of their prenup. So, Radar Online says that Simon's latest filing states that he denies ever removing Porsha from their home. In fact, now he's pointing out that he purchased this home using his own money well before the marriage to the RHOA star ever took place. He's also revealing that Porsha has a $1.8 million house nearby and that she can and should move back into her home. In contrast, this is the only home that he has in the United States, he says, and he's been the sole payer of the purchase and the expenses of the house since 2021. Simon also informed the courts that he's still living in this house with his 5 children. He also made note that Porsha has moved back to the marital residence after she went and filed for an emergency hearing on the matter. In closing, Simon further added that Porsha and her daughter were never displaced at any point. So, again, you guys, this is just an ongoing feud back and forth, right? So, the recent pictures that Porsha has shown on her IG of her and her daughter PJ watching the eclipse were at the marital home that they're disputing against, right, back and forth. And I think Porsha's mom still lives at her house that she originally bought, which kudos to Porsha, right? I'm glad that she has a house that she bought and paid for with her money. That's one of the smartest things that she's ever done. Because the last thing we want is for Porsha and PJ to be out here like Kim and Croy. I mean, just, house foreclosed on, fighting. Like, we do not want to see Porsha and Simon. I mean, they know better than to call the cops to their house every other day like Kim and Corey do. But I'm trying to give Porsha credit where credit is due, right? Because we've seen Porsha do a lot of ditzy things over the years, in regards to, the Underground Railroad and her saying that she's a journalist on Dish Nation, and marrying Simon Guobadia before, doing a background check or really vetting him. But I mean, she saw that he was with Fallon at that time. She saw the house, the cars, I guess the bling bling or whatever the case may be, and she got a little bit ahead of herself. I feel like it's a story tale as old as time. Mia said the same thing with Real Housewives of Potomac, and I'll make that recap after I make this video. But, she said that she had a huge over the top wedding with Gordon. And then essentially she found out after she received her inheritance from her grandparents who had recently passed that he was essentially broke. She feels like she was duped. I mean, all this glitz and glam and, all these things. I feel like people who have real substantial money, they don't flash it around. Like, they don't, invest in designer labels and all these things. They invest more so in stocks and bonds. And listen, I'm not saying you can't buy designer labels. Whatever you want to do with your money, as long as your bills are paid and your obligations, your children are cared for, have at it. But what I'm saying is that true wealth, in my opinion, that old adage, wealth whispers, it's so true. Because I feel like, you know, men who lead with their money, there's a lot of brokenness and insecurity behind that. You know what I mean? Like, people who are secure in who they are, they don't project, right? People who project things all the time remind me a lot of like Donald Trump. He's always trying to convince people that he is this brilliant businessman. He's, I can fix all the world's problems. I can do this. And he speaks in absolutes, right? Like, always, this is blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'd rather people show you right? People who are really successful, like, Beyonce and Jay-Z, like billionaires, Oprah, like they're not constantly talking about how much money they have. They don't need to. You know what I mean? Their work speaks for themselves. But anyway, while Simon is constantly taking pictures in his garage of all these cars, and taking pictures of, it's just, to me it's like, sir, you don't have the things that really truly matter in your life that you want, right? A stable marriage, right? Citizenship to you, to the United States, right? All those cars, those are depreciating assets. So anyway, I don't know. Those are just my thoughts. I hope that things can go a little bit more smoothly in regards to their divorce. But that's essentially Portia's storyline, Simon. So you can't hijack that. And Bravo producers are going to do what they're going to do. They're going to do their jobs. And Bravo is protected by NBC, and that's long money, right? NBC Universal, I mean, you can try to go up against them. Nene did, but essentially she dismissed the case because that money is long and strong. The National Broadcasting Company is one of the oldest and most established in the United States. So I wish him well if he's going to try to go up against Bravo and NBC, but that's not the smoke that you want. But anyway, you guys, let me know your thoughts about Simon trying to have all the communication from Bravo. I just feel like it's an empty threat. I feel like, he's trying to puff out his chest a little bit, but it won't come to anything, in my opinion. But you guys, let me know your thoughts. Please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will talk with you in the next one. Take care, Aces. Bye.